Hi, I'm Bex from channel Bex Bug Out Survivor, and today I've tried out a couple of ideas. They're heated shelters, emergency heated shelters. One of them is the poly pit, which I believe is straight out of the SAS handbook survival guide, and the other a variation on another idea. One of my ideas, a more instant heated shelter. We're going to have a look at both of them coming up. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep collecting from wood that's falling into the branches. This is going to be dry enough. You put it to your cheek, you can soon tell if there's any moisture content in it. This one's a little damp, but that's all I've got. I'm going to carry on collecting. We're going to set up our poly pit, a heated poly pit. I haven't tried it before. It's more or less straight out of the SAS handbook. All we need to do now is to find a sheltered area where I can put my back against a tree out of the wind, and we'll pull up a poly bag over our head, and that's good enough shelter. If I wanted to heat it for the night, I'm going to have to build a fire pit. And I'm on the lookout for a stone as well that I can heat in the fire pit after this has been burnt off. This is what we're going to try today. I've given something similar a test a couple of years ago, and I trialled it again last night in the form of a hypothermia type of setup as well. Set up slightly differently. We may have a look at both. We'll see how we're doing for time. Right, all we need now is to find a sheltered tree out of the wind, and then we'll have a dig underneath to see if that will suffice. Okay, it's a good stash of logs here. Some of these logs were from a previous time I was here quite a while ago, where we propped up a load of these logs or kindling up against this tree. Something's knocked them all down, but some of them are really good, really fresh and still dry, including the ones I'm already getting now. But this tree here has one hell of a fall on it, one hell of a lean, and it'd be ideal under here. But just have a look at the lean on this tree. That's not for me. Not tonight, Josephine. I'm going to carry on looking. And still haven't found that rock that I wanted. A stone, a rock, anything will do. I just need to heat it up. We're going to carry on the search. Okay, this log will make a nice windbreak. If I sit on my pack and crouch behind it, wind is coming from both the east, how can I say, northeast. We're getting a northeasterly wind, but that will change to come right around the back of us here, and it will be coming in more or less from the north then. So I've got to protect myself from two angles. Squatting down here will be okay. I'm going to put a test pit in here just to see that I'm not hitting any roots and that I can dig a hole about the size of a football. And then here, a little folding shovel, and this will enable me to at least put a test pit in and then see where we're up to. If the hole is good, then I can start looking for that rock or that boulder. Already I've hit a bit of root from this tree here, so I'm coming over more towards you. I'm hitting a lot of roots. I don't know if you can see this here, and this is going to be the issue you have when you're digging. And this hole is nowhere near deep enough, but in a state of an emergency that would have to do. Let's have a look. I can barely dig a spade's depth really before I hit something, but I can work around some of the obstacles. This is not ideal and it's nowhere near deep enough. You know, on reflection it's not too bad. I'm just going to start the fire. I'm going to collect some very dry tinders and some very dry kindling, and this is good. It's off the floor but it's well sheltered, and I can hear that snapping sound. Listen to this. And it's that sound that indicates that it's dry. Now what I'm doing here, this won't be firewood. This is just a bed to build up some coals with. It's the actual coals I need, not the flame. So a very, very small fire, and we should be good to go. I need to build a lean-to type of fire starter next to that, and my kindling like a lean-to on top. Give that a second to burn up. That is just a fire starter similar to the hexamine block, but a cheaper version of. I'm going to give this a couple of seconds to get going, and then I've collected some slightly bigger stuff. This might actually go straight away. I want plenty of air getting to this. I have brought a knife with me to batten this wood down, which I should be doing right now, but for now that should sustain for the time being. Let's try and get some of these a bit smaller. are. I don't want to add too much fuel too quickly. You start doing that, it's going to be a lot of unburnt wood. Anything that's not burning is giving off smoke, and it's the last thing I want to do. Now the wind's changing direction now, this way. Now if you're splitting your wood, go with the grain. It's a lot easier. Well, it has sustained that flame. Don't want to build up too much too quickly. I'm going to let this burn down before I start adding any more wood kindling to the fire. This now will be a good time to get your nighttime heat and get a pan of water on this. Get yourself a hot drink for the night. Don't waste any of this heat. It'll cook for you, it'll dry out your wet boots. Very small quantities of wood at a time, and there's no smoke. And this is the smoke from the outside. It's just the tiniest whisper. You might not even be able to see it. The smaller I cut these, although the fire's going, I still want very, very small embers. I don't want anything, don't want a fire, don't want a big fire. I want to make embers. That's why I'm keeping all the kindling reasonably small. Remember, the smaller you make your fire, the better heat it will give off. If I've got a big fire, I can't get close enough to it. With this, it's small. I can tend it a little bit at a time. I can gather myself up next to it, almost curling up like this right in front of me. And I've got a woolen jumper, so I'm not going to burst into flames. Again, just keep feeding it. I want a lot of coals here, a lot of coals. Sound like old dear Scylla there. A lot of bless her. It's quite early in the morning. Last night was quite a relatively mild night. It's just turned autumn here in the UK, 2016. First day of autumn. I think it might be second day of autumn, I'm not too sure. Already this is making into a nice bed of coals. I will put a fire on top of this just while I go out hunting for that rock that we need. Oh yes, it's turning into a nice bed of coals. I've got that wood over there. I'm going to start breaking it and splitting it right down. For now I need something a little bigger just to keep it going while I have a quick look for more wood. Here's a V of a tree, and this is what I'm going to use to break my wood into smaller sections. Just by pushing a section over, I can get really quite small pieces, and I'm not going to exhaust energy sawing wood. There is no need. If you want to bring a saw and waste your energy, be my guest. At this stage, it's time to start building the log cabin. 2 across, 2 that way, 2 that way, and I'm going to come in as well. And this will draw upwards. Quite a big chunk there. Because I need to sustain this fire while I go out looking maybe for a bit of a rock or a stone. I have some reasonably good combustion now with the fire. So it shouldn't give off that much smoke. I don't usually carry this shovel around with me, it's just far too heavy. In an Armageddon pack, that would go in, and then I would bury the pack where I know my first POL is, my point of location, at about 20 clicks from here. I've already buried some tools up in the hills. Okay, I've got a small collection of rocks which needs to go into that fire to warm them up. But for now, I can use the heat of the fire to warm these rocks just by placing them around the edge of this fire. I want to get these rocks as hot as I can. I can search for a lot more as well. I need more embers in this to heat these rocks, but these will get hot quickly. I can move these into the fire now, these rocks. Well, onto the coals, and then build yet another fire on top of the coals. So let's get these coals where I want them, and then start building a smaller fire on top of these rocks. I wish I could have found more. Okay, I've got the rocks in the fire, and now there's a fire on top of the rocks. So it's a rock sandwich. It's a layer of hot embers. The rocks are on top of the hot embers with another fire on top of them rocks. A rock sandwich. Now these rocks, especially if they're wet, they can potentially have the capabilities of fracturing if they're wet on the inside, and they will splinter. So be aware of that. Cover this over pretty soon, and we'll dive into this part of the pack, and we'll get a good bit of shelter even for the night. Although I won't be staying out much longer. Doesn't require very much to build a poly shelter while that's going. Let's see, this is it. I can get to you. I bought this out because this is part of my hypothermia barrier. It'll work in much the same way, but this is what I have. It's a polythene bag, and it's a big one. Maybe even a chair or a sofa has been in this. It's really big. and it's light, and I haven't cut any head holes in it or arm holes. I could use it like a cagoule, a shelter, but this is big enough for me to sit down on my bag. Now perhaps I could even use this as a super shelter just as it is. I want to see how much this warms me up. Use it as a super shelter. Of course, in reality I wouldn't be that close with a polythene bag next to a naked flame. But these are nothing more than embers now, really. That is the extent of a very small super shelter, and I could crouch up like this, relatively close. I wouldn't want to be that any closer than, say, arm's length away. I'd rather have the fire over there, and that is reflecting a lot of that heat in, and also keeping some of this smoke out. Oh. Now these embers are out, I can start burying the fire. Oh yes, wet my finger then, put it on, sizzling. I want a layer of soil over this. Well, no more smoke anyway. Oh. Ow. Yeah. Can't. Want to see how long I can hold my hand on for. Just need to warm this soil now. Only buried it quite shallow. Of course, the idea now is I can get my bag down on a tree, use the tree as a back support, put the bag over, and it should radiate the heat of them rocks back into my shelter. Even digging with a shovel was quite difficult with the root system. Oh, the wind's picking up, I need to get under this. Back out with the polytar and sit on my pack. This will be my seat for the evening if I were here. The wind's picking up, and I can imagine it going quite cool. The idea is the heat from them rocks, which is now buried and below, beneath my feet here, I can rest my back up against a tree and get some heat up these rocks, and put some holes, sharpened up a stick. Just put a couple of vent holes in here to try and release some of the heat. One. Okay, you're inside with me. Between my feet is the heat, but I've got to admit, what little there is of it, and it's not buried very deep either. Oh yeah, that will radiate a bit of heat. It's very, very slow radiating heat. I can actually put my hand on it. Oh, that is nice and warm. That is nice and warm. It's not too hot, and it is warm. In the past, many years ago, I built a fire pit, and we did exactly the same. Rocks, coals, buried it, and I'd put spruce boughs on. I didn't have this bag, and I was laying on it all night, and I was still warm in the morning. Like I said, it doesn't get overly hot, but at the time I had a bad back. Still got a bad back now, but it really was a welcome. I expected this to be a lot warmer, a lot warmer, but the bag is keeping me dry. Through my feet here, a ventilation hole, so I do have air ventilation coming in. Do you know that other idea we tried where I just got in the bag and I was arm's length from the fire? That, the little mini super shelter, worked a lot better. Let me just try and close off the air gap here, put my feet on it. Oh. Well, no wind is getting in and no rain can get in. It is condensating on the inside, as you can see, but I don't really be wanting to put in vent holes in this bag. I don't find bags this big on an everyday basis, so I don't really want to be cutting it up. I've got something similar that I've done plenty of times, and usually I do it with a poncho, and it's a hypothermia shelter. That's what I call it, because if you're really cold and you need instant heat, you haven't got time to be building this fire and collecting wood and sticks and what have you. I'm going to show you something right now, so quick and easy. It's my hypothermia shelter. I'll give you my review of this after I've been here for an hour or so. It is warm. It is keeping some of that cold out. It's actually quite comfortable. I thought there was a varying degree of success with that. It did radiate a nice bit of heat. It would have been a low temperature kind of warmth, just to take the chill off you for the night, and I assume that's how the poly pit was intended. I expected it to be really warm, and it wasn't like that. I thought the effort it took to build it wasn't worth the overall outcome of what it gave. So I don't know what to make of that. I think if I was to award it points, I'd probably go 2 out of 5 for that. I think there's plenty of scope for improvement with that system. I can already think, you know, top of my head, that an instant fire would have been a lot better. The idea, of course, would be to dig your pit, sandwich your rocks between the coals and radiate a low temperature of heat for a long period of time. So if you've got time to build your pit and make one of these, and the plastic is so compact, lightweight, that it's going to be worth your while doing it. But if you want some kind of quick access bothy, it might not be for you, this idea. But this next idea just might be right up your alley. In this scenario, the cold has set in and I need to get my hypothermia shelter out and heated very quickly. I'm going to lean against this wall. We're going to use the same old poly tarp that's in this bag here, but we're going to use it very differently. This is more for quick access heat, and to reflect a lot of heat you're going to need one of these Mylar type space blankets. I'm still going to use the poly bag as a rain protector, and I need a bit of instant access heat also. This is going to be tricky to explain, so it's best just watching. Okay. So I have my seating area here. I'm going to pop the bag over me in the usual standard. Then, once the bag is over me, I'm going to wrap this around me, and I've got the old space heater which I can put between my legs, and this I can burn for about 1 minute. This shelter is toasty warm, I can pop the lid on and conserve a lot of heat very quickly. Okay, let's do it for real. Now notice just how quick this works. That's me in. I grab my heater and a lighter, and this gets put on the ground down here. Let's light this up. This just takes a couple of minutes to get going. There is a certain amount of smoke which will come off this, which will produce it probably would produce a carbon dioxide for a short burst. This will heat. There you go. This space blanket here is not fire resistant. It's best to keep that away from here, and in fact, if memory serves me correctly, I'm sure I've left a windshield in one of the pockets. So this is the position. I'm going to be crouched in, got my back against the wall. If I had nothing else other than the space blanket, this, as it is brilliant. By adding on a layer of waterproofing, so by adding a layer of waterproofing, this is an instant heat shelter, and believe me, I'm going to have to put this out. There's too much heat in here now. Grab the lid, smother that, and wow, it's instantly warm. I don't know how many seconds that was. It was less than a minute or so, and if I pull this up right around my neck, or even put it over my head, man, this is a stupidly hot bit of kit, but it's instant heat, and you'd appreciate this on a really cold day and you can't feel your fingers, and I'm sure we've all had them days. Like I said, be aware, this is not fire resistant. There's no ventilation on here, so again it will condensate. But this isn't designed to, in any form, to be some sort of overnight shelter. Although I wouldn't hesitate, if I had nothing else, I'd be cosy and warm and out of the wind. And maybe even if I didn't get any sleep, I could just get into a crouch and remain really dry and warm. Now let's have a look at this guy here. We're probably better off taking this apart so we can talk properly. So this is the little space heater. Like I said, use it with some common sense. This is not fireproof. It will condensate, and if you have this on for too long, you run the risk of maybe carbon monoxide poisoning. But I really can't see anyone leaving this on for any more than 1 minute. After 1 minute, I had to put the lid on it and then just conserve what heat was already there. This system here, my hypothermia system, of course, you can use candles which won't emanate as much heat rapidly. So a candle in a little jar will radiate a lot of heat quickly for a longer period of time. You don't need a big space heater like this, but like I said, I can get incredibly cold, incredibly fast in the winter, which is why I tend to carry this setup with me. Assuming, of course, I might be climbing somewhere, let's say, for instance, Scarfell, or any place you choose to imagine, and I've been lost in cloud cover, for instance, in this scenario. Rain, cold. A lot of people do carry bivvies, but if you want instant access heat, and I do like heat as well when I'm camping, I don't like being cold, maybe consider something like this. Like I said, you don't need such a big heater. This is a Boy Scout wax and card heater. There is a how to make on this. Like I said, you've got to use your filbert. So if you do anything like this, that's down to you. I'm having nothing to do with it. If you burn yourself down, nothing. It's just for demonstration purposes only, that one. You would have to take your chances with that, but with a smaller candle, then that heat will radiate a lot slower, and it'll be safer, and it won't give off as much toxins as my little space heater. But that throws out one hell of a bit of heat very, very quickly. 1 minute, put it out, and that will give you a good hour of constant warmth. Remember to leave your ventilation open by your feet. No matter which of these you've been watching, like or don't like, you must always ventilate when you've got heating or anything like that. I've sat on my glasses again. Just get this lens back in. I'd be wasted with a pair of £100 spectacles that I'd sit on them. Okay, thanks for joining me on that episode. As usual, if you are going to copy anyone's ideas off anyone's videos, you need to have a degree of common sense. Don't take risks. If you're young, make sure you're supervised by an adult, or you need to be really, really mindful of what you're doing. So I'm not advocating either of these systems, but it's just for demonstration and educational purposes only. Until next time, take care of yourself. We'll see you pretty soon.